Hello, everybody. This is week 3 check-in for the Bloom along, and I'm just waiting for folks to show up in the waiting room, and then we will get started with the check-in. This week's check-in should be pretty straightforward because we're just starting to sew. We're just sewing half square triangles, which is pretty straightforward, I think. But yeah, it's a good moment to check in and see how people are doing and cheer each other on. Okay. Hang in there. Let's just get together in just a second. Hello, everybody. Hello. I think a couple people are still getting connected. There's only a few of us today. I feel like next week, is it next week we start doing curves? Oh no, we don't even do curves for another 2 weeks. I was going to say next week will get busier when we hit curves, but that's not for another 2 weeks. Whew. Okay, Donna is still getting connected to audio. Oh, there are a couple more folks showing up. Hello, Krista, Diane, Catherine, Donna, Karen, hello. Hi there. So this week, I keep thinking it's only Tuesday, but it's Wednesday, and we're just checking in for a few minutes for week 3 of the Bloom along. And right now we're just doing half square triangles, which is pretty straightforward unless you're a newer quilter. But even if you're a newer quilter, it's a pretty straightforward part of piecing. How many people are already sewing, or are some of you still cutting?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Donna, yes.
Oh, I started sewing about half an hour ago.
Nice, excellent, very good.
I'm working on the HSTs, the ones that were on the video.
Perfect, that's great. That's all you need to do this week.
I got to find out what they need to measure.
Oh, right. Which size are you making? The large quilt or the medium?
The 48. So do they measure 6?
They should measure 6.5 and 3.5. Unfinished.
When we sew them together,
yeah,
they should measure 6.5.
Yes.
Mine's a little, mine's short.
Yours are a little short.
It's not 6.5. It's barely 6.5.
Okay.
Barely.
Well, that's all right.
Well, as long as I'm consistent.
Exactly. Consistency is key. So even if your blocks are ending up a little bit smaller than what it says in the pattern, as long as they're consistently
small,
right? And this will happen too with the, like this happens to me with the curves. So like I can tell you without even, I've done one of these circles, I can bet it should be 8.5, and I will bet you it's somewhere around 8.25.
Right.
Because that's the way I always sew. Even with moving my needle over a little bit. Okay, no, yeah, mine is 8 and 1, 2, 3, 3/8 of an inch instead of half, 8.5. So I'm always a little small, and that's okay because I know for the most part all my blocks will be around the same. And then if some of your blocks are bigger, then when we get to putting everything together, we can use pins and we can fake it as long as it's within that 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you can still catch it in your seam, you'll be fine.
For sure. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched the video this morning.
Oh, good.
Yes. So that's how I got started.
That's great. That's perfect. I've done most of the videos. I think I just have the last 3 videos to upload, but But then I got caught up on this whole other pineapple project. And I've been cutting a million strips all morning. And I've been using my paper plates to do it all. So at least I've got everything organized for that.
I have my paper plates out too.
Yeah, perfect. Great. It is handy. Like now that I've done the Bloem quilt, my plates are empty. So I was able to just reuse them and then just put sticky notes on them for this other market project. So that's the great thing about them. You can just reuse them over and over again.
Right.
Until you need to have a sandwich, and then you can just pull one out and use it.
I was going to suggest your next family picnic.
Yeah. We'll show up, no one will they'll be like, where are all the plates? And I'll be like,
no, you can give them fabric 1
yeah,
and fabric 2, and their names are now fabric.
yeah. They've all been renamed. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
How is everyone else doing? Are we in cutting mode still? Yeah.
Yes, cutting.
Yeah, it's a lot of cutting, and there are a lot of all the little quarter curves. Jody is also still cutting. Fair enough. There are lots of, and if you're sick of cutting, you know, like I've got enough here on play or organized that I just want to do some sewing, then switch to sewing for a little while. Do some sewing. You'll feel like you're making some progress. You're doing something more fun, and then go back to finishing your cutting. That's what I've done with this big pineapple project where I sewed like 6 blocks. And then I thought I better just cut everything else, which is what I've done mostly. But I think I need to do a little bit of sewing this afternoon to keep me going because I've got another little stack of strips to cut. So, so I just want to sit and sew for a little bit. So it's okay to switch things up. I'm giving you permission to stop cutting and do something else if you want to.
When I started out, I'm using my stash.
Oh, nice.
And I've colored 2 pages. I've done it twice. I've done my colors twice. But finally, I was going to do it a 3rd time, but I thought, forget it. Do what you did the first time. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, there's a point where you could just color and color and color quilts and not, and that's what I do too often. I mock them up and then I don't actually make them.
And you can get so confused if you're changing the color scheme.
Yeah, that's true too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can get a bit overwhelming. So sometimes it's good to just commit and get started. And then you can always think, well, if I really wanted to, I can make another one of these.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions about this week?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's pretty straightforward. Tomorrow we do have a squad social at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I know a lot of our European friends can't make that. I don't want them staying up until midnight, but hopefully some West Coasters can join in, and we'll spend an hour sewing. So if you want to use that time for Bloem, or you want to switch gears and do a different project, it's just a fun hangout session for those of us who want to socialize a little bit and do some sewing. Even sewing is optional. So if you just want to pop in and meet some of the other members and have a chat, or you've got a question about something sewing or fabric related, then definitely pop in. And then I also scheduled like a retreat day because I thought I need a day to just sew and have snacks. And I thought, you know, it would be nice for people to just pop in and out if they want to on the retreat day. So I think I booked that for October 21st, which is a Saturday. I know we've got one member in New Zealand, Helen, and she's always missing out. So I made sure that she could, it'll be Sunday her time, and she can show up for a little bit. So keep it all day long so that people can just pop in and out for the retreat. And then maybe I'll even, like, if I get my stuff together, if I get myself together, I might even do some giveaways for fun, because I feel like I haven't really been to a lot of quilting retreats, but I know that they have door prizes and things. So maybe I'll pull together some bundles and things like that and do some giveaways during our retreat day. Yeah. And next week, oh my gosh. And then next week we've got Tara Fawnin on Tuesday doing a 2-hour workshop all about just building color palettes, and she'll be doing some fun exercises with us for those. And all you need is like some scraps, ideally solids, but if you don't have solid fabrics and you've got, you know, tonal prints, then choose those. I think you just need some paper and some tape or glue, because we'll be doing some little fun activities to learn how to like bring color.
I see you. I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's about it. So everyone's working away. Do you need me to? Yeah, Deborah's like, yes, working away. Jennifer's cutting. Does anyone have any other questions? How are you feeling about Bloom?
I have a question. How long are you gonna keep the videos on online for us?
For
How will they be available?
For Bloom Along?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Bloom Along, they'll be there forever. Yeah, they'll just be available.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, because I've been away and I'm still reading, but I have the kit, so I do want to make it.
Yeah.
But I'm not there. I'm not even cutting. I'm just reading. So
that's okay. Yeah, work at your own pace. They'll be there. There's no deadline. I don't have plans to pull that content down. It'll be up there for anyone.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was thinking as I do these programs, these sew along every, you know, twice a year, I'm thinking whether it's a sew along or a block of the month type thing, you'll just stay there. So anyone who joins in the future, who maybe has bought a Bloom kit or something, they can work through it on their own.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Great.
Yeah. And then the guest workshops so far, everyone's been cool about allowing me to record them and then share them for 30 days with members. So those go away after 30 days. I have to delete those, but all the stuff that I do, all my like free workshops and things, those all stay.
Okay, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, listen, I'll be fully transparent. I signed up for, and this is the second time I've signed up for this same workshop with Sarah Watts from Ruby Star Society. She is really fantastic with teaching Photoshop, specifically for doing fabric design. And I took her the class originally a few years ago. I only made it a couple sessions in, due to all kinds of personal family stuff. And then, and it was during the pandemic. So I signed up again because I was alumni. I got a deal. I signed up again. I went in, I set up like my profile. We're 3 weeks in and I have not done the first, I haven't even done the first module. I feel terrible. But I know it's always there. Like she's great too. Her content is always there for me. But yeah, so never feel guilty about having to work at your own pace. But I do appreciate those who like provide content, and once you've paid for it, like it's always there. So
what are we talking about?
Corinne had just asked how long the Bloom Along content would be in the Sew Squad, like all the videos. I've said it'll always be there. So
and what were you saying you signed up for?
Oh, I signed up for Sarah Watts Photoshop class.
Oh yeah.
For the second.
I thought about that and I thought, you know what? I have so much on my plate.
Yeah.
I need to take some of the classes I've already bought before I buy anything else.
I know. And I thought, okay, well, I signed up for it a few years ago and I wanted to support her and sign up again. And I got a deal as an alumni. She's got some visitors
you do
too.
This for a living. You do this for a living. I'm not at that point in my life. So it's a very different decision for you than it is for me. You know, it's like, yeah. I got all my HSTs made except the big ones. So
oh, good. That's great.
I'm charging along.
Nice.
I
Excellent.
haven't gotten all my cutting done, but I've got all my HSTs done.
That's all right. I'd also said to some folks who have been in that, like they've just been cutting, I'm like, if you're sick of cutting, it's okay to stop and just do a bit of sewing. If that's going to make you, you know, feel good about making a little progress or just switching up the activity, right?
Yeah, well, my week was brought to you by the Department of Life is What Happens While You're Making Other Plans, because I ended up in the ER Monday morning at 5 a.m. with AFib. And I
Oh,
spent
no,
a day and I spent a
Susan.
day and a half in the observation unit waiting for the imaging people to be able to do an echocardiogram. And they were so far behind that they just sent me home and said, well, we're going to do it as outpatient. So
What?
I'm
Oh,
back
Susan, that's
home.
scary.
It was very scary, but
Yeah.
on the other hand,
Wow.
it puts into perspective a lot of what's happened in my health in the last couple of years. My best friend and I were like, oh, wait, what if that thing and that thing and that other thing and that other thing that were all treated as unrelated things in your health were
Mhm.
all actually AFib episodes that just didn't get diagnosed correctly.
Wow.
Oh, wait, all kinds of things are now coming into focus.
Hmm.
Oh, like
Well,
when they
hopefully you get some
diagnosed you as
answers.
exercise-induced asthma, what if that was AFib? And what about that other thing? And what about that other thing? I'm like, oh,
Jeez. Well, hopefully you get some answers and
Yeah.
it can be dealt with. That would be helpful for sure.
yeah. So it sucks, but on the other hand, answers are good.
Yeah, for sure. Because then you know how to deal with
What
it.
to do?
Exactly. Well, that's good to hear.
It's one of those times I'm really glad I went to Wellesley because boy, my best friend activated the Old Gals Network and said, really dear friend needs cardiologist recommendations in Boston. She called me this morning with 7 names.
Oh, wow.
She said, okay, I suggest you throw darts in every direction and see who you can get an appointment with when.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing all morning, calling cardiologists office.
Oh, geez. That's good. Good to have connections, especially in the medical field.
The Old Girls Network rules.
Yeah, that's great. That's good.
How's everybody else doing? How's the sewing going, folks?
Good. There's sewing and cutting going on. Looks good. Oh, I like that fabric.
Pretty.
That's a nice, what is that, Cafe fabric?
Cafe. Yeah, these two are both Cafe. And
Such a
then
good
this is my background fabric that I found, this beautiful white on white.
Ooh, oh, I like that. Oh, Rhonda, your blocks are beautiful. I love those. Look at those colors.
Yeah.
That green, very nice.
I haven't figured out how to, I haven't done the one where I have to put some background on the sides of the other.
Yeah, the little wings.
Yeah. And there's my other color.
You get to them.
So that's all the
I like
different
your background.
varieties of HSTs that I have so far. So now I just have to do the thing where I cut background squares and add them as wings on the sides.
Yeah. Cool.
And then these are the really beautiful other sides that are going to get put on those big squares.
Pretty. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Excellent. Hi, Christine. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Liv. Sorry I'm late.
No worries. We're all just checking in with one another and seeing how things are going with the sewing and the cutting, everything else. How are things going for you, Christine? You good?
Well, yes and no. I love doing curves and I have templates and I didn't take your advice to add the 1/4 inch on the template. So when I got them all together, they're beautiful, but I really didn't have a full 8.5 by 8.5 square.
Oh, okay. So it was a bit short.
There was a bit short. Oh shoot, that alert.
Oh,
Yeah, I
No.
was like hearing it. Is everyone getting it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be nationwide in the United
Yeah.
States.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I thought I heard it.
Yeah, sorry.
It was not
Got
for
it too.
me.
Christine, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna grab some squares because I'm having the same issues. Let me show you.
Okay.
Oh, I ended up actually cutting them down to a perfect 8-inch square. But now, of course, I have to figure the math and get all my other ones 8-inch so that they come together. And I'm not having a hard time doing that with the ones that have half square triangles in it. I'm doing the number 2 layout. It's the ones that have the orange peel in it that I'm more concerned about how I'm going to put those together. I thought about using some like throwaway fabric and cutting out the templates, playing with the fabric before I put together the ones with my beautiful fabric.
Mhm.
I've tested a lot of scraps. Yeah.
Oh,
So I think
My biggest question is that, so the template is 8.5-inch L-shaped, correct?
Yes.
Right. So if you want just a 1/4-inch seam allowance, there's no way you could get an 8.5-inch unfinished block if you cut a quarter inch off to leave another 1/4-inch seam allowance. Are we supposed to have a 1/2-inch seam allowance here? So in other words, when we sew it to the finished block, is that corner going to be offset, or do you actually have it nested into the corner of your joining block? Because I
Like-
can't cut this down another 1/4 inch, or I wouldn't have 8.5-inch block. They come out perfectly to an 8.5-inch block, but you have
You have a
half-
little extra,
Yeah, and then you won't have a perfect point if you don't
which
have
is
just. a
fine,
quarter.
because then, okay, let me see if I can hold this up. This is what you,
Yeah, I wanted to see that. Okay, so yours is offset 1/4 of an inch.
yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Like there's,
That's-
so
Oh,
the templates that I'm using, because I'm using the acrylic templates, they don't have any extra on them.
Yeah.
Unlike the paper has extra, so you can trim down. So they end up being exactly like, this is 8.5 inches. Exactly, or sometimes, and I was saying this to a few folks at the beginning, sometimes my blocks are a little smaller. They're not quite 8.5. They're like 8 3/8 of an inch.
Yes.
Like when I get 4 of these units together into one of these, this is 8 3/8, not quite 8.5.
Yep.
And as
Yeah.
long as I'm consistent, as long as they're consistently around the same size, I just go with it.
Yep,
Because I can
okay.
fake it once I get them once I start putting them together, I can make my seam allowance a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch if I need to, or I can fake it if I have to.
Yep. Okay. That answers my question. My niece kept telling me, no, you're supposed to cut it down so you have a 1/4 inch. And it's like, no,
Well,
do the math.
you should, but
Do the
you-
math.
you could, but don't cut it down to keep the block at 8.5 inches.
Yeah.
So if you've got extra, leave it the way it is, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
my daughter told me, oh, you should cut it down to the smallest one. And I thought, oh, I don't know. And so I did, I cut them, but and they're all they're beautiful. They're all perfectly with a 1/4 inch and everything. And it'll turn out okay. If I did it again, of course, I would go back and put that extra 1/4 inch around the plates like you suggested, and then I'd have a little bit of extra wiggle room to trim them down to the exact 8.5.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be in a little extra work. But
Yeah. Then, well, have you done half square triangles yet? Or did you?
Yeah,
do curved square?
my triangles are perfect. I do have the block lock and I down to perfect 4.5 inch, but I actually trimmed them down to 4 1/4 so that when I
Oh, they'll
put
fit.
I make the flying geese, that one square that has like a large half square
Yeah.
triangle that I'll be able to make them a perfect 8-inch
Yeah.
square. I'm just trying. I think that the ones that are the orange peel, actually, I'm thinking that if I sew them with the exact same 1/4 inch that I sewed the other one,
Yeah.
that they'll come out a little small, just like the other ones did. So I think I'll be
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, they'll be consistently small. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, we'll go over this again when we get to the curves stage, because some folks are way ahead. So we'll be talking about curves again, but, yeah, you'll like this one again. This is
Yeah.
just under 8.5 inches, but all my blocks are going to be slightly small because that's the way I sew. And even when you're ironing them, sometimes like I iron it, I'll go to trim it, I'll realize, oh, it's just within 8.5 inches. And then I have to go back and kind of like straighten it out a little more, add a little more steam, and get it squared up. So that's the other challenge with these, is just squaring them and keeping them nice, and which I give a few tips in the video that I did, but
Thank you, Liz.
they're, yeah. Susan, you've got your hand up.
You know my daughter lives. I think, do you know? I don't know if you know. I'm her mom. You know Isabel.
Oh yeah, Isabel. Okay, yeah, of course.
Uh,
She just messaged me this morning. That's cool.
my sweet precious Isabel.
Cool. I
Thank-
love her.
I just looked through and I may have missed it, but what is your recommended practice about pressing for the HSTs? Press to the dark side?
Yeah, I've
Or
been
press
pressing.
open?
I've
Press
been
to the dark
pressing
side?
to the dark side just because I'm using a light background.
I mean, I'm typically in my quilting a press to the dark side person, but if there was some reason you wanted us to press open, I would, if that was how you had calculated for things. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
double check I wasn't missing something. Okay, thanks.
just to the dark side.
I pressed to the dark side, and then when you sew them together, then that I opened.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that too on mine. It helps to reduce the bulk in that center, at the center.
That's how I typically do things, to the dark side with an HST, but then when I'm putting a block together, open for the elements within a block. But I just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed any instructions. I looked through the thing again, but I just wanted to double check. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with this one.
Yeah, with those ones too. And I
These
did
are
them opposite.
So cool.
They're fun to make.
Oh, they
Great.
are. I've been having a blast with the HSTs.
Yeah, those ones, those little hourglass blocks, you can make a whole quilt out of those just with scraps, and they always, it just looks so fun, and like they're quick to sew. Yeah, they're great and easy too, because if you are using scraps, they're all different sizes, then you take your blocks and you just center them and trim all the way around, and you've got a whole set of nice blocks. Yeah, there's Susan. Hi, Susan Gray. I've been wondering where you are and how you've been doing. Good to see.
Well, I forgot.
That's okay. I'm just glad to see your face. Yeah. What else? I know we started talking about curves because some of you folks are already deep into curves. That's okay. Work at your own pace, but in 2 weeks we'll officially start curves, and then
Yeah, I was going to ask that. 2 more weeks?
yeah, I was thinking, oh, it's next week, but next week is the birds in the air and the hourglass blocks. So if you're doing them this week, you're ahead of the game. I tried to, like, when I do these so longs, I like try to make them not so long that people are like, okay, enough of this. But then also I want to give people enough time to do them. So yeah, next time if I did this again, maybe I put all of those blocks into one. But also for some of us, when we're doing the curves, like depending on your layout, one layout too has a lot of quarter curves, but not many hourglass blocks. And I've split those up. So you may find like you'll do a few quarter curves and then let the quarter curves blend over into the orange peel week too. So just do whatever works for you for this so long. It's whatever works. Yeah. So it's funny because I'm like, I'm finished, but I'm not finished. I have there's my Bloem quilt. There it is. It's everything's done. I just have 3 more videos to do, but then I switched gears onto this mega pineapple quilt, and yeah, now I'm obsessed with doing that, but I have to go back to
That is looking so awesome. I can't wait to see it all sewn up.
yeah,
I've
it's
been
gonna be
loving what
fun.
you've been posting on Insta.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I have almost all the cutting done. I've got 6 blocks, but it took 4 blocks took me 2 days of it is people were like, pineapple blocks are a lot. And I was like, no, this one's big. It'll be easy. Bigger does not mean faster.
No, because the seams are just
It
longer.
just means
You
bigger.
just have to go further and further and further around.
Yeah. I thought, oh, look at when I was looking at like Giuseppe's, the teeny tiny piecing, and he's got
Yeah.
these beautiful little like pineapple type things. I'm like, one of those must take forever. Well, guess what? One of the giant ones also takes forever. So
Yep.
I have just learned my lesson. I've breezed through so many podcasts in the last couple days. But
Me, it's audiobooks. Man, I can blow through the audiobooks when I'm doing
Oh,
this kind of
yeah?
stuff.
yeah, I can't listen to audiobooks. I don't know what it is. I have to read books. But maybe I could for this because it doesn't.
Well, for
require a lot of
fiction, I can,
focus.
what I'm realizing is I think I shouldn't do audiobooks for nonfiction because then I want to go back and find a quote and I can't leaf through the pages.
Oh, yeah.
So I just listened to this fabulous book called Care Work by
Oh, okay.
Leah Lakshmi. Oh my
Oh,
goodness, really hard to pronounce last
Yeah.
name. She's
Mhm.
actually from Toronto.
Yeah.
They are from Toronto.
Yes, I think
Do
I've heard
not
of-
misgender people, Susan. Fascinating, fabulous book. I really recommend it.
I'm gonna write it down. Carol.
And it's read by the author, so it's really always wonderful to hear something in somebody's own voice. But
Yeah.
now I need to go get it in print so I can go back to all the parts that really spoke to my heart and highlight them and put tabs on the pages so I can go back and find them.
Yeah. Well,
And
but
Well,
that's,
that wouldn't be terrible.
yeah.
What was it about?
It's a series of essays by a disabled queer person of color about disability justice and what it might mean to reframe care work away from being an obligation toward being a joyful thing that we do
Just
for one
part of
another as a part of how we create the world we want to live in and how we reframe disability away from being less than and into being part of the continuum of life, and recognize that while some people spend more of their life's journey at the disability end of the spectrum, the reality is almost all of us eventually cross that line. And
Wow,
instead
yeah.
of treating it as if there is some idealized healthy body to which we're all trying to return, or
Steve,
hold
yeah.
on, this is a doctor's office. I need to put you guys on. I need to answer a doctor's call.
Okay,
Okay.
that was good. I'll write it down and we'll.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Redefining normal, that everything is
Yeah,
normal.
everything's normal. I had a conversation about that last night with some other parents about neurodiverse kids and how
Yeah.
some people look at it as some sort of disability. And I'm like, it's not. Their brains function in a different way and it's not less than, it's just different. And it's
Yeah.
fun having those kids around. I'll tell you that. I don't know any other thing. Like someone had said like, oh, you're like a hero having kids with these neurodivergent kids. And I'm like, has been my life. That's been my only experience, has been raising neurodivergent kids. So I'm not a hero. I'm just a mom, just functioning in the world and helping my kids to thrive the best way they can. So
Awesome.
anyway, that's not part of Bloom, but these are good discussions. This is why I like when we get together. Yeah, so also because some of you joined a little late, I want to mention again, tomorrow is Thursday, 7 p.m. We've got like a 1-hour social where we can chat more about things like this and bring some book suggestions or audio book suggestions. And it's just a so long time. So you can bring any project, doesn't have to be Bloom, can just be anything you're working on. If you've got nothing to work on and you just want to hang out, you're also welcome to join in. So that's tomorrow at 7. And then next week we have our workshop with Tara Fawnin on Tuesday. It'll be a fun 2-hour workshop. I'm really looking forward to that because she's so fun and cool. And she's so talented with color that she does things in ways that are something that I'm looking forward to it because she has approaches that I've never tried. So I'm excited. Yeah, so that's it. If anyone still needs help with Bloom or you're running up against anything, just post in the feed and And I'll address the questions, or someone else will, if someone else has got the answers. And yeah, I should go. It's 2:34. I have more cutting to do for this giant pineapple, and maybe I should put some of these Bloom blocks together today. So does anyone have anything else? Are we good? Okay, great. All right. Keep going, everybody. This is me cheering you on. And if I don't see some of you on Thursday and you're Canadian, have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. It's like 30 degrees out. It's really weird. It's 30 degrees. I don't feel like pumpkin pie, but I need pumpkin pie. And it's very early this year, Thanksgiving. So, but have a great long weekend. Okay, take care, everybody. And hopefully
Thanks, Liz.
soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.